Hello and good morning. Today we have a 20-minute lower back love practice. And my intention for this is you could really do it any time of day, but my intention was, first thing in the morning, sometimes depending on what you've done the day before, you may wake up a little bit tender, especially in the low back. And then you may be getting ready for a day of sitting, which doesn't tend to necessarily be the helpful thing. I don't want to poo-poo sitting because sometimes when we have standing desks, then we just move the problem, right? If you stand all the time or if you sit all the time, it's not always the answer. So, moving is helpful, and today's practice is intended to help just get some things moving around. As always, do what feels interesting, helpful, or good for you, and skip the other stuff and do your own practice. This is your time. I'm going to move back onto the mat. We've got sleeping puppy over here. Okay. We'll take a moment and look around your space as a way to bring yourself into your environment in an intentional way. I'm going to start on hands and knees because that's where we're going next, but feel free to be in any position that you like. And it doesn't have to be still. I'm going to sway a little bit here as I look around the room and take in the energy of the day, as well as my own energy, my own feelings, my awareness of my body, any sensations that I'm waking up with. And if tuning into the breath is interesting to you, you can use that now or at any time throughout the practice. There's no special way you need to breathe. Your body usually knows exactly how much air you need. But it can be magical to pay attention, to notice the sensations as the breath moves in and out, just as you might notice sensations in your body as you move in and out of postures. When you feel ready, come to hands and knees, although you can start with these warm-up exercises in any position. We're going to start with cat and cow, classic. And the reason why I'm choosing to do them from tabletop today is so that the spine feels like it's like none of it is glued to the floor. If you're sitting, then your butt's glued to the floor and it changes the possibilities. So here, allow the spine to float into cat pose, curl up into yourself. Maybe push the hands away. And then release the belly, look forward, arch slightly. Go back and forth a few more times at your pace. And you might play for a moment with what's starting the movement. Is it your head? Is it your tail? Is it something else? And maybe intentionally start the movement from a particular place. So for example, the tail. So curling into the cat pose and then letting the head be last. And then starting the cow pose, lifting the tail, let the head look forward last. And then compare that with the experience of maybe starting with the head, curl the chin in, let the tail tuck in last, and then look forward first, let the tail move last. And then go to whatever feels natural. And it's probably some combination of those movements. All right, find an ending for that. Maybe wag your tail a little bit back and forth, making a small C curve with your spine. Beautiful. And then steady yourself on hands and knees and lift your left leg back behind you. So balancing tabletop, press into the floor with the hands with some intention, and then firm up the belly so you feel strong through the core. Whew, I did a little leg workout yesterday, so my my bum muscles are feeling this in a different way. If you want to balance with your right hand off the floor, so we have a cross body movement. You can reach the right arm straight forward or out to the side like a wing. See what your shoulder wants to do this morning. And embrace some of the wobbliness. This cross body style movement, we'll do another one from the belly in a moment, is really helpful for the back. When you've had enough fun with that side, go ahead and lower down. Shake it out in between, and then let's try the other side. Start with the right leg lifted. Firm up the belly. So you're using these muscles in the trunk, which are really helpful for the back as well. And then if you like, lift your left arm for that cross body movement. Beautiful. Go ahead and lower it down. Shake it out. Nice. And then from here, take your left hand to your side of the face, elbow out to the side, and turn the elbow to the sky. So twist the trunk. And then bring the elbow close to the other one underneath you, twisting to close the movement. And then open back up and close it in. And continue going back and forth a few more times. You're welcome to do this with the arm reaching instead as an option. And after you do a few on that side, try the other side. Maybe start with fingertips light on the side of your face, elbow pointing to the ceiling, and then down to the floor. Nice. After a few of those, find an ending for that and decide what would feel good next. If you naturally are shifting the hips backwards into a child's pose, then great. If you're naturally wanting to lift the hips into a downward dog shape, awesome. You could do a little bit of both. Take a few moments. And then make your way down onto the belly. I'm going to move my blanket out of the way and come on down to the belly. You can make a pillow with your right hand for your face so that your right cheek is on the floor. And then use your left hand next to you to help you up enough that you can slide your left knee out to the side in what I like to call a lazy lizard pose. And you can let your bent knee kind of slide to wherever is comfortable. And then pause here for a moment. This resting in this shape can be very helpful if you've ever had sort of a moment, maybe after a long day or after standing up or doing something where you feel some tenderness in the back. And it encourages those muscles that get tight in response to sort of wanting to be helpful and protect themselves to relax in sort of a happy place. So you can stay right here if you're enjoying it, or join me in a bit of a roly-poly twist. So take your hand that was under your face, your right hand, straight forward out of the way. And then use your left hand to help roll yourself to your right side a bit. Now your leg will move around, and that's okay. And then reach over to the opposite side of the room with your left arm. Now you can keep body parts on the floor, or you can let them lift and kind of roll or balance here, bobble. And then come back around onto your belly and switch sides. So slide your left foot back, turn your other cheek to the floor, and bring your right knee out to the side for lazy lizard for a few moments. And then try the roly-poly stretch if you like. Reach the left arm up out of the way and help yourself roll over onto your left side, reaching out in the opposite direction with your right arm this time. And then unwind, return to your belly, slide the feet back to the back of your mat so your belly down on the floor, and reach both arms straight out in front of you. We're going to do that cross body movement here that we did from tabletop, but now you're on the belly. So lift your left arm and your right leg any amount off the floor, and imagine reaching them to the far corners of the room. And then lower that side and switch. Right arm, left leg, left. And try a few on each side. Lift, hold, and then lower. Lift, hold, and then lower. And when you feel complete, slide the hands towards the shoulders so you can press yourself up to tabletop, and feel free to slide the hips back to child's pose or curl up into a cat. Your body might be wanting that counter stretch, that curled up position after the back bending position. And then step your right foot forward to the front of your mat. Now, if you have yoga blocks at home, I would grab those. I'm going to move closer to the edge of the chair so you can try this at home with a chair instead. And the chair is going to be higher than the blocks, which can be really useful and nice. So you're going to take your right foot forward and your left foot back, and your hands come down for a pyramid style stretch. Now you can choose to have your heel up behind you. I find that this is a more sort of natural place for my back to be. When I put my heel down, my torso turns a little bit, and yours will too, because you're not a paper doll. And that's totally fine if that's what you prefer, but everybody's legs and body are going to be a little bit different. And then from here, press into the chair or the block so you feel your arms relatively straight and your back super long and strong. And perhaps walk your hands forward slightly so that you can extend this through the arms as well. And then if there's any space, you can relax the head slightly as if you're folding almost towards the leg, but you're reaching out. If you have hands on blocks, maybe the hands feel like they're reaching out past the foot or trying to. Now find your right hip. That's the one with the leg in front. And imagine that you're going to draw that hip back in space slightly and see what that feels like. Does it create a little bit more space, a little bit more length on that side of the body? Beautiful. And then bend your knee, the front knee, and walk yourself up slightly so you're in more of a lunge position, head up over the belly, warrior one. Take a moment here. Feel the strength of your legs, of your whole body. And then step forward so you can switch sides. Now your right foot comes back, left foot forward, legs are relatively straight. Reach down for the chair, the block, whatever you have to work with. And start by feeling the whole back body long. Arms more or less straight against your support. And then see what happens if you walk the hands out a ways. And maybe relax the head down any amount. And find your left hip, that's the one with the leg that's in front, and draw it back in space. You might feel like you're sort of twisting or untwisting yourself ever so slightly. It's a small movement. And then bend your left knee, help yourself up to the lunge. Maybe you bring your hands to the hips, heart over the belly. Warrior one. Beautiful. Then spring forward to bring the feet together. Feel free to shake things out. And then with bent knees, slide the hands down the front of the legs and take a standing forward bend. So bending the knees more will take some pressure for many of us out of the back. This is still a really good stretch for the back, even with your knees bent. Feel free to grab opposite elbows or add some movement or gentle sway. And then help yourself down to sit. Nice. And with the feet wide on your mat, swing the knees from left to right a few times. And one final thing here, roll down all the way onto your back for bridge pose. Settle your feet underneath your knees, arms alongside the body, and then press the feet down into the ground. Lift the hips up any amount. And notice that back line from your heels, but the back of your knees, probably the buttocks to the lower back into the trunk is strong, holding you up. Feel free to take a break if you need and lift back up, or take another few moments here. When you're ready, lower yourself down and rest your whole spine on the ground. If you feel the need to stretch or squeeze for a moment, please do. And then return the feet flat on the floor in what we call constructive rest, which tends to be a happy place for most backs. And feel your whole back connected to the earth. Maybe you shift and adjust so you feel more of the skin of your back pressing closer to the ground. Notice your breath moving, expanding the torso, maybe even allowing the back to feel closer to the earth as you inhale. And pulsing away from the earth as you exhale. If you have some extra time before you transition into your next activity, I invite you to stay here a little longer to rest or be or meditate. And if it's time to transition, go ahead and roll over to one side, pause there for a moment, and then use your hands to help you up to a comfortable seat. And with your spine tall now, look around you. And I wish you a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.